I think we're up. So it's Saturday. Got two of the characters left and a bunch of the terrain. Did some of that off camera yesterday and today. So I'm going to show you some of that. First, take a look at Ultron. We'll switch over here to paint cam. Ultron finished up pretty good. If I can get him out of there. Brugrush messing him up. Alright. So, try to get him to focus. Went back with a little bit of yellow and did in the center of most of those little glow bits just to give it a little extra pop. You don't necessarily have to do that. You could just do the orange and it would look just fine. But went back, gave him a little once over, and what's hard to tell on the camera, let's see, a little bit of shade there. Also went back where I did the wash over the armor. Ugh, I gotta get better cameras. Anyway, over the wash that I did on the camera, or that we did on the camera, I went back with silver, and so these little high points and stuff like that are done with the silver. The camera's not picking it up real well, but it is there. There's just a little bit of highlight, so that darker silver that we ended up with pops just a little bit more. And then, what was it? We started on the car. Or actually, we started on this one. So, went through and did the car up. Did a quick blend on the windows to get some kind of differentiation on it. We gave the headlights a little slight. It's just a slight yellow tint. It's a white with just a touch of yellow into it, just to give it something off-white. Even gave him little shiny brake lights. This is the one that I didn't start on the camera yesterday, or on the stream. So, yeah, that is a lot of yellow. And there is a little bit of shade in there, but once again, my camera, it's an iPhone, so excuse it. It doesn't exactly show the best detail. There's a little bit of shading down here at the bottom, but not a whole lot. Did a quick blend across the windows again. Just something to give it a little different. And like I said, it's quick, fast, and in a hurry. Get them on the table, and you can play. This morning, when I woke up, as a matter of fact, they're still drying. I did some dumpsters. No, I didn't set them on fire, but I did some dumpsters, and I made them look real grimy. Just took some airbrush, shot the green, went back, did the lid, banged it up a little bit, and then took a couple of different colors of wash. I took a little sepia, a little earth shade, and tossed it on there. I've never seen a clean dumpster. I used to see them in green all the time, but now I see them mostly in brown to hide most of this junk. But I decided to do the dumpsters up in green and just sort of grimed them up. It's a dumpster. You can't make a dumpster look, too clean. Gave some little spots on the back where stuff is seeped out of it and collects along that top and all that fun stuff. Like I said, the terrain's in there just so you can toss it around. Well, so you have to go around it and toss it around, and you can bash your opponent into it and all kinds of fun stuff. I actually started painting the girls. We're doing up Black Widow and Captain Marvel. And I started painting them up, and then I realized that I wasn't doing it on the stream, so I figured I'd kick over real quick and do a quick little stream. Black Widow, we're probably going to get done mostly. What we've done so far is we've taken a little bit of this contrast snakebite leather and dropped it on there. It's just real quick, dabbed it on. It's real light. Just I wanted a little bit brown because we're gonna put black over the top of it. I like that black brown leather look. It turns out fairly well. And but first, I've done in the face with just a off khaki, and we're gonna throw a little bit of flesh shade on there real quick, and that way that starts staining up. There's not a whole lot of skin showing on her, just this little bit up here on her face and neck. So I'm hoping to get the rest of this. I've got the Daily Bugle left, and you know what? I don't know if I turned the... Yep. Okay. Got nervous there. Thought I'd left the mic off. Anyway, I've got the Daily Bugle left, which is the larger newsstand building. Got it primed up and everything. Haven't put any shade or anything on it yet. And then I've got the Scatter Terrain, which is the two traffic lights and the two street lights that come with the set. We're just going to do the same thing with her. Her skin's done up. We're going to shade it real fast so we can do some colors and try to get some eyes on her. But I haven't done up the Scatter Terrain real quick, or yet. And hopefully finish that up this afternoon, maybe into this evening, and get this up to Gigabytes so we can start doing some demos. I haven't played this since Gen Con, where they were doing the demos, the original demos. So I've got to go back and watch. I know that Atomic Mass Games has done a couple of walkthroughs. Well, not really walkthroughs, but they've basically done games online. You get to see how it plays and how the rules work and all that stuff. You need to go back and watch a couple of those, get a little refresher, see how that all goes. So sorry about the water, but Georgia went straight from October 1st. It was 100 degrees in Georgia, and yesterday it was 37. And it did all that dropping in the last 2 days of October, so still a little messed up with that, a little bit of a cough, all that fun stuff. So somebody was asking about contrast paints. This is a contrast paint right here on the leather, but her bodysuit, jumpsuit, not exactly sure what you call it, her uniform, costume, is all black. So I did do a Zenithal on it, so there's black, it's shaded across the top, the top's brighter than the bottom, and I didn't use the contrast primers, but it still works. The Vallejo primer goes on there pretty nice and smooth, and it still allows this stuff to flow. You just got to get it on there quick. So some folks had asked me, well, could you use contrast on these? Yes you can. And here we go. To where normally you would be really, really careful and with how much you were putting on, and you'd want to do multiple thin coats. With this, you want one coat pretty quick, and then to let it pool how it goes. Basically what it does is the paint's really thinned out, and it just sort of flows into those little gaps and recesses. And the theory behind it is that you do it right, it will do all the shading and highlighting for you in one shot. So far, at least with the black, I've never been 100% happy with the way that it did it. And I've gone back and put, I mean, the shading, it usually works pretty good, but the highlights, I tend to want a little more than what it does. So I typically go back with a little bit of gray. And throw a couple more highlights on there. But you do this nice and thin. You could do this with a standard black too. Just thin it out. You do that zenithal highlight and you thin it out real good, and it will do just about the same thing. You just got to watch out for watermarks. You don't want to put too much water in there and then it start pulling away and leaving little pools where it looks like there's a tide or something. Now I'm being careful around the brown leather, but here in a minute I'm going to go back with just a little bit of this Black Templar and hit over that, because I want those leather pieces like almost like a leather that's been beat up, a black leather that's been beat up pretty good. And I want that brown showing through, like, you know, somebody dyed brown leather black and it's been worn. So a little bit of that brown will show through. Sort of like what I did with Zemo's pants. One, it'll give her a little bit of a color differentiation. Hey, look, I got the big word. And that way the whole model's not just, you know, stark black. It'll just so if you notice up top, it's already starting to dry. And some of that is pooling off to a gray almost, which is fine. So one shot. Of course, it's still dry, and it's like this down here is going to thin out a little bit. This over here is going to thin out just a little bit. But one shot, that's not bad. So, like I said, I'm going to take a little bit of the black and go over that snake bite leather that I did up brown. I don't want to put too much on it, but I want it to shift that color into a dark brown. But I want you to be able to see the difference between the holster and its straps and the suit that she has on. Still not 100% sure why I'm being so careful around the gun, because I'm probably just going to paint it straight black. But so in those little parts where it was the brown leather, we darkened it up. It doesn't look 100% black, but it looks a little bit better. So like across her shoulders and everything, you can see where it's gone fairly gray. What I'll do here in a minute is I'll let this all dry, and we'll come back and take a look at it, and hit like this gray is just too light for me, so I'll go back over it, and then we'll go back and hit a couple of these lines and everything where the shadow is real hard with that, and just sort of force the shade on it a little bit harder. Big open areas, this stuff doesn't tend to do as well. So like her back and her butt, on a big open area, it doesn't run quite right. But just take a little bit of it, you can run it back over, and it'll do pretty good, especially for one shot, maybe two shots. So let's skip back over to Captain Marvel, and I've got to pull up a little picture because this is the store copy that I'm doing, and so I'm gonna do it pretty much like what's drawn up on the box and all that fun stuff. My copy later on, or if I get to do a second copy of this, I'm probably gonna take and do that teal and silver that they had in the movie, because I like it. I like it better than the red and blue. But it's your model. You can do it however you want. You want to do it red and blue? Not a problem. You want to do it pink and purple? Go for it. Whatever you want to do. Whatever makes you happy. Once again, we did that Zenithal, so we're going to try to let that Zenithal do some of the work for us. And that means we're going to have to thin our blue out pretty good. We might have to go back and take a second pass on the blue to get the color right, so it doesn't end up like a sky blue, but that's not a problem. We can do that. So we're just going to start down here on our leg. Make sure I'm on the camera. Just run that. That's actually a little thick. Still pretty watery, but I sure don't want to get ooh, okay, it's not as thick as I thought it was. Alright, there we go. Here's one of those little shadow spots where that black primer is still shining through. And when we put the blue over the top of it, it just darkens that blue up just a little bit. Yeah, but this isn't the lead-based paint. That's my little brother, by the way. And I usually only lick the thing when I've washed the paint out, but accidents do happen. Sometimes I get a little shot of the paint in my mouth there. Run that down along there. She's got that little scarf that goes around. And I guess if you really wanted to, you could probably leave it off. You could leave that scarf off, and it would make it a little easier to paint around her waist. But considering it just it's gonna take me a second to sort of get the brush in there, wasn't too concerned about it. I'm sure there's some little spot that I'm gonna miss, but with this being a tabletop run, oops, yep, I hit up there. With this being a tabletop run, if you can't see it, then I'm not too worried about it. So this game's coming out November 15th. Once I get done with these, I'll be taking these up to Gigabytes in Marietta. And the store will be running some demos, so, you know, just contact them, say, hey, can I get a demo in? My brother just said that he finished up Modern Warfare. And if you don't have it, you may want to second guess letting the little man play it. My son's 12. And I'm assuming that something happens at the end of that, or all through it, that might not be 100% appropriate. So just lightly going back with another light coat, just to take out those little high points and low points. Blend it so we get a nice smooth color across the whole thing. Oh, right dead in the middle of the thing. Oh, awesome. So So this is coming out on the 15th. Most of the scenarios, so what you do is you bring like the models that you have, and then there's some different scenarios and everything that you and your opponent can set up. And so you don't really know what you're going into to start off with. You just bring the heroes that you want to play with. You set up that scenario, and then you sort of get to make your team. One of the cool things about this is, because it's based off the Um, one of the cool things is that because it's based off the comic book, and at some point or another, most of the bad guys will team up with the good guys. It allows you to do that for the game. So there's nothing stopping you in this game from running Carol Danvers here right next to Doc Ock or Red Skull to get whatever the mission is done. I believe each one of the objectives has like a... I'm going to mess the wording up, but it's basically like a power setting. It tells you how many points you can bring, and then each one of the characters has like a power rating, almost like a points. Oh, hi Will. I think I saw Dallas in here earlier, but I think he left. I'm trying to remember all the finer points of the game, and probably butchering the crap out of it, but you get to build your team based off the number of points that are available for that mission, and each one of the heroes or characters gets to has a power setting, and so as long as you stay under that number, you can bring whichever character you want. If you want to make Captain America and Red Skull work together to do a mission, you can do it. There are some bonuses if you keep like the Avengers together. If you got enough points to bring all the Avengers, you get a little bonus. I think there's even something set up for like the bad guys, the Sinister Six. I think there's something in there, or something. Damn it, what's it called? Something Cabal. I remember seeing it, but Gen Con was a minute ago, and I can't remember exactly what it is. I probably should have looked at the card. Anyway, it's fun. You get to play out those comic book fights that you didn't get to see in the comics. So and it's not necessarily just wreck face sort of thing where you just take your guys and charge into the other team. There's objectives, like you got little markers, like trying to think of the one that I did. I want to say there were it was shards of the Tesseract shards, and you had to go collect them. The only problem is once your hero got a hold of them, it would start damaging your hero. And so you had to watch how long you left any one of the heroes holding one of those shards, because it was possible to take them out without them ever being hit. You try to get them back to I think you just had to try to get them back to the board edge to get them off. And there I go off the bottom of the screen again. Need like a buzzer or something. Off screen. Off screen. Off topic. don't know if any of y'all have ever tried to sit around in a room and just talk to yourself like folks are listening and no one being there to judge reactions on. It gets a little funny. There we go. Like every now and then I'll see a comment come up, and that's about all I see. Well, that is all I see. So most of this is just me sitting here talking to myself like a lunatic. Luckily, I'm used to that. Yep, sticking my tongue out. Gonna look around here. Get some more of that blue down. As you can see, she goes pretty darn quick. So what we'll probably do is we're going to brighten this blue up just a little bit more. And we'll go and we'll grab some of that red ink like we've done with Spider-Man and Iron Man. And we'll get the top half. And more than likely what's going to happen is will bring some highlights into the top and everything. It's just basically a brighter blue almost into a white to pick up some of the details and everything across the uniform, across the knee pads down here, across her legs, and everything, because that blue went on pretty dark. Still on the camera? I guess I could bring it over here and let you see it. So there's a gold band that goes between the red up here and the blue down here. Runs right there across into the little star thing on her chest. And back around. And then the little sash thing that's going around her waist. Is also red. Just trying to smooth out that blue a little bit. There's a couple little spots where it got a little splotchy. And that's my fault. Probably should have gave it a little bit more water. This being on the palette overnight, it dried out a little bit, even though it's a wet palette. And so when I added the water, I probably should have added a ton more than I actually did. But yeah, you can see the difference in the way that it went down. The blues almost don't look the same. This one went down really nice and thin, and this one went down pretty dark. That's alright. Like I said, we'll give it a... There we go. We'll give her a couple highlights. It'll really make that blue pop. That's what will happen. Sort of fun sometimes to see how many different variations you can get out of the same color paint. Because I've used the same blue on the Tesseract. Tesseract over here. Cap's got that blue on him. Spider-Man's got that blue on him. And this is the third bit with it on there. And it still looks different. And even the like windshields on the cars. Same blue. Different look. All right. Back to when our let's go over to Black Widow. Take a look at where she's at. So we put that contrast paint on her and it's dried up pretty good. I don't see any really wet spots on it. And as you can see on the bigger areas like across her back here and across her shoulder and then the top of the butt, it pulled away, but there's not like through here there's little spots for that paint to cling to, and it sticks in there and it shadows up pretty good. The larger flatter areas, it just never does quite right on that. You gotta sort of go back and give it a little extra touch, or it just doesn't quite look right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna real thin go back up here across her shoulders and just with the very tip of the brush give that black just a little extra kick. And I'm going to stop just shy of the down here where it actually did pretty good. So across her shoulder here, maybe a little bit in there. Little creases across there underneath the collar of her jacket. We'll give that, or the collar of the suit. Those little creases right there. Over here on the shoulder where the suit's all bunched up. Give it a little underneath. Over there, and then these dark patches through her back, we'll give those a good shot to make those a little darker. You know, I completely missed her left hand. Didn't even notice it. So we'll give that a shot. Bring this up here so you can actually see it a little bit. Yep. Completely missed that hand. Not sure how I did that, but I did. From time to time it happens. You start going around and you just, yeah, I got everything. And oops. It's alright. So like this little spot right here, there was a little spot where there was a ridge. It pulled away from the ridge really well, but it didn't go back into the rest of it. So we'll just put a little in there, darken that up. Same thing with along the bottom of her leg. These little creases on the back here. Across from the bottom. And then like in the back of her leg there's some little creases. And then they sort of go around to the knee. The knee's going to be pulled pretty tight. So you don't want to necessarily bring that shadow around into there. But like so, just those little spots right there in the back of her leg. Just use the tip and add that in, and then around the top of her boot will give like a little extra definition so you can see that. See, there's a little spot that we missed too, right there on our boot. Right here in the creases, down here in the creases on the boot, we're going to darken those up. Yes, just the tip. Yep. I'm 12. So I was talking yesterday about should I leave the channel as Llama Juice, which is a sort of inside joke between me and my son, or go with something, change it over to where something that sounds a little more. Is this sponsored? No, it is not sponsored. This is just me doing the store copy for Gigabytes. Not sponsored at all. I'm just trying to get this down so they can get the so we can do the demo games with this. As many times as I pitched the game, you'd think it would be, but no, not sponsored. It's all right though. I like this game. I'll be playing this game. Yes, you can have adult content. But I forgot completely what I was talking about. Not a clue. Brain just went off. Anyway, so with the contrast, like I said, it does a pretty good job, especially if you've got something that's small, compact, like Zemo's gun belt here. Across on these larger areas and everything, it doesn't do quite as well. It pulls away, and it leaves these big gray areas in, what should be a black field, but it does all right across the. You didn't derail me. It's just my brain is not caffeinated enough. It pulls away a little bit at these little details and everything, and it does all right. But on these little bitty bits, like on his belt, that's where this stuff really shines. If you see on his belt, there's the little gray areas and the center where it's blackened out on the pouches and stuff on his belt. I did not go back and add those grays. I took a little dab of the black and just dabbed it right in the middle to darken it up just a little bit. But that gray was done by the contrast paint pulling away and leaving that highlight there at the edge. I mean, it looks like somebody went back and did edge highlighting. I did not do that. All I did was I took the contrast paint and just darkened that middle just a little bit because I wanted it just a little bit darker. But it did a hell of a job. On small details and everything, it does wonderful. Big, clunky models, if you've got like a big, I say big, on a miniature, if you've got a miniature where, like, it didn't do so well on this. There's a lot of open area. I mean, there's some definition up in here, but there was a lot of open area. It didn't pull away the way that I wanted to, so I actually had to go back with gray and do the highlights on that. Now, his pouches and everything, I went back and did some down here along the gun belt and around these, the larger ones, but like these little ones and everything up here, that's mostly from contrast. The little bitty highlights and stuff like that. Like I did some up here with the storm vermin fur to give it just a little off of black color. It does pretty well. These larger open areas like her back, and it usually you'll have to touch it up to get it to look the way that you want it to. Anyway, we're gonna let that dry for a minute. Or actually, no, I've shown the ink in one of these before, so we're gonna go over here and we're gonna try a little something different with Black Widow, because she's got the bracers. I guess it's what she shoots out of, these little bracers and everything, and I don't want them 100% gold, but I don't want them 100% not gold, if that makes sense. So I've actually got a little thing out of the Vallejo non-metallic metal set. It's called, what's this called? Heavy Gold Brown. We're going to give it a shot. This is the first time I've used it, so, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I don't know. We're about to find out. I'm just going to take a little bit of it, and I'm going to, it says extra opaque. Now, the thing is I don't remember whether opaque is see-through or not. I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. So, gold brown. So it's not bad. I don't know how it's showing. It's showing up way brighter yellow on the camera than so the camera makes that look, ooh, wow, like almost yellow. To the eye, it has a lot more brown in it. Let me see if I can get something to show on here. There we go. So it looks, to me, at my eyes, it looks a lot more of that color, where on here it's, I mean, those look like two different colors to me, but I guess if you get them close enough, if I take this away, that I think it's the white balance on the iPhone is just taking it up to a yellow. So like I said, it's not shown on the camera. It's the exact same color as Gerber's Stage 2 chicken noodle baby food. Is that before it goes in or after it comes out? Or both? All right. So normally I would just do a metallic and then wash it and then bring a highlight back up, but I want to try something a little different on this one. Don't ask me why, I just did. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down. It'll be a little more matte than a standard metallic. And I'm going to wash it just like I would. Oops. We hit the hand. We hit the hand. So if you get a little bit of water in there and really just thin that out, you can take a lot of that off like that. And if you're using contrast paint, it takes the black off too. Not a problem. We can touch that up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and set it down to a good base color, and then I'm going to shade it just a little bit with, I think, some Reikland Flesh Shade. And then for the highlight, I'll take a gold and just real gently hit it over some of the raised parts and everything. Why would you do that? Well, she's supposed to be an assassin, and gold's shiny. Yeah. And it's all right. They've been filled. They can't be refilled. It's awesome. My brother is flipping out over my pill bottles showing on the stream. I guess it does show a couple of things pretty small, but I don't know how. I mean, it's definitely got my name and stuff on there, but I don't know how well that can be seen. Anyway, I don't like the fact that you would put bright gold on somebody who's trying to sneak around. So I thought I would use the non-metallic metal to give it that really muted. And then I could use the actual gold metal to hit the places where whatever dull coat that she put on there to keep the metallic from glinting had been knocked off as she moves around and all that fun stuff. Or at least that's what's going on in my head, and that's why it's getting painted this way. No, I'm just gonna let them think that you're weird. My little brother's thinking of all the fun things that from cybersecurity that he could do with some of the information that's on these bottles. It's not a bad idea. I probably need to just like shoot them black and call it done. And that way, I don't have to worry about that stuff showing through all the time. I mean, it's not like I don't have black spray paint. Too late. Your secret's out. So there's a little medallion. Once again, why in the world would like the stealthiest character in Marvel put this much gold on there? Sort of defeats the purpose of wearing an all black costume if you're going to accent it with gold, right? Or is it just me? No, so I was asked if I was on Twitch too. Um, I was I did a couple of streams where I had it on Twitch also, but I was doing that through Caster. And I think it was just like a free 30-day trial. And so I'm not yet to the point where I'm paying to do this on both. I'd like to do it on Twitch too, because I think on Twitch I could do where this is, about an hour is about as far as you want to go. On Twitch I could probably sit here and I could turn on some background music and keep going and do one from start to finish and show exactly how it all goes. All right, so earlier we did, I had painted in her face, and I had words. I'd put a wash down on there. I'm not sure. Like I said, that was back in May when I was doing when I did Caster, and it ran out, and I think at that point I had a combined total of like 2 people watching it, and I think there was less on Twitch when I was doing it, so I hadn't done one in a while. So I haven't looked on Caster to see how much it was going to be. All right, so what I've done is we put the skin tone down, we put a wash on top of it to get these darker spots, and now we're just going to take a little highlight, and what we're going to do is like the little high points of the face. We're going to, like, right here across the bridge of her nose, we're going to bring that back up, and that's just a little too bright. I went with a different color, but that's just a little too bright, so I'm going to bring that back down by putting another color on top of it. Ta-da! And also don't forget, like, if you put something on there and it looks a little odd, as it dries, it's gonna mute a little bit. I mean, don't expect like miracles, but like I went bright real fast, and then like right here across top of her brow, just above where the eyebrows are going to be, and then right here along the ridge, right underneath the eyes. You want to just bring that down just a little bit. You don't want too much. Don't want it to look like a reverse rouge or something. She's going to bring that cheekbone back out because the light's going to hit that, and it's going to make it stand out. And the same thing, like right here along this jaw, we're going to bring that back out to give us a little bit more contrast. Just make that jaw set out a little bit. It's not so much that light would hit it, but I mean, it will a little bit, but it's a miniature, so we want that line to separate the chin from the neck. And then just this little high point that's on our head, right up here at our hairline, where that, we're just going to give that just a little bit up there, sort of pull it. You don't want to go too far down because you still want a little of that darker. Again, that contrast of light and dark, you want that to be in there. But that little spot on the top of her head is gonna catch the light just a little bit more. So, I mean, not a whole lot of work to that, and it just makes the face look a little bit more realistic. Same thing with like right there on her chin. We're just gonna give that a little bit right there. And something that I haven't shown is we're gonna take, so lips aren't, lips are not the same color as your face. They're a little reddish, a little pinkish, whatever you want to call it. I like to take a little bit of this Caribou Crimson, and it's just a red shade. You can see it right there. I just get it thinned out really, really well, because all you need is just a little bit of this right there where her lips are. I'm just going to give, I don't want it to look like, lipstick, but I definitely want her lips just a little bit different. And then right around the eyes, like, so if you, so like this part of your eye usually shades over a little bit and it goes a little darker, like it's usually pinker around your eyes, the darker. So I just gave it a little bit extra right around her eyes. And it's sort of hard to get that to focus. Let me see here. So right there around her face, we just gave it a little, like right there on her lips, we just gave it a little red shot there. And it's not a huge thing. You can just, but it's something that your eye picks up on really fast. And if you can get the face and the shoulders to look right on a model, it goes a long way as making it look like a person as opposed to a little plastic toy. So I think that's gonna just about do it for today. We're at the hour and closing in on the hour and 10 mark there. And I found that that's usually about the best length is right around an hour. So we're gonna knock that off. I'll finish these guys off. Black Widow's got some hair and some highlights and stuff. She's just about done. Carol's not close. She's got blue on her and that's about it. But gonna finish these guys off. I'll be posting the pictures on Instagram along with the pictures of the terrain that we'll be doing, or I'll be doing. hopefully this will be, well, I'm not going to do a stream tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday. I'll be doing something, but it probably won't be Crisis Protocol unless I get hold of like the Hulk or something that's coming out, or MODOK, something else that's coming out. But I'll be back on Monday sometime in the afternoon, probably around lunchtime, and we'll knock out the rest of these. It's Atomic Mass Games. Marvel Crisis Protocol comes out the 15th. You can check it on their website. I don't believe that they're doing direct sales from their website, but double check it. It's Atomic Mass Games, all no spaces.com, and I'll post it at the end of the in the comments here at the end. Comes out November 15th. If you've got a local game store, swing by, check it out. If you're, more than likely they'll be running demo events. This will be up at Gigabytes Cafe in Marietta once I'm done with it. So hopefully, like later on today or tomorrow, I'll get it up there, and it'll be ready to go. So swing by. If you're in the Atlanta area, check it out on Facebook. Gigabytes has some deals for the pre-order. There's a couple of bundles and everything that they have to where you can get MODOK, the Hulk, extra terrain, everything that you basically need for 2 players to play this. You can jam it all into one. The box comes with 10 of the characters. We've done all of them, or I've done all of them, and it comes with a bunch of terrain. So check it out. It's definitely a good place to start if you're just getting into this. Have a good weekend. I'll see y'all on Monday, and go paint something.